And I had already kind of made up my mind that I was going to go back out east to study here. I didn't really know where that would be. I just knew that I wanted to be back in the Maritimes.
Welcome to You Belong, the podcast where stories come to life, hosted by Pastor Nate. In each episode, we'll learn that every name has a story, and every story matters to God. So let's journey together and discover the stories that unite us all. This is You Belong.
All right, I'm so glad to have my friend Emily with us today. I do apologize, my voice is still a little hoarse right now. But why don't you just tell us where you came from and where did you go?
So yeah, I'm not originally from Miramichi. I was actually born in Truro, Nova Scotia. And then we lived there for about 7 years. And then we moved to Barrie, Ontario, and then Haileybury, Ontario, and then Manitoulin Island, which is on Lake Huron in Ontario. It's I think it's still the world's largest freshwater island. Wow. And then we moved to PEI. And then I went to Moncton for university at Crandall, and then I moved here.
Was your dad military? Yeah, that's a lot of moving. What's going on?
No, he's actually, so the first move to Barrie, I'm pretty sure that was just like a promotional thing. He did he worked on surveying equipment. Yeah, so I don't really know what that job completely entailed, but
no one knows.
Yeah, he talks about it, and then I just completely forget about whatever it was that he said. But then after that, he went into pastoring. So it started off as a children's pastor in Haileybury, and then from there, every move was just it was to be a senior pastor, and then just kind of feeling going where God was leading him. Yeah.
Well, what kind of children's pastor was he? Was he super outgoing, crazy one, or was he behind the scenes kind of manager of one? Was he
my dad's not and he says this himself, he's not super great with kids, which is kind of funny.
Just wants a job.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to get into the job, and my mom and my dad really balanced each other with the kids. So my dad did a lot of he was still good with them in my memories. I don't remember it being terrible. But we did a lot of the VBS curriculum on Sunday mornings. Pandemonium.
Yeah.
That one was one. There was a crocodile one. There was quite a few that we did. And yeah, we called it Super Church. It was always really fun. It's kind of similar to Kids Point here. So yeah.
Very cool. Where was his first senior pastor job?
That was on Manitoulin Island at a little church. Gateway to Life Church is the name of the church. Actually, I don't know if it's still. It was a really tiny church.
Would there been a lot of people there?
No, there was maybe 20. It's a really small island. Yeah, there's one high school for the whole island. It's mainly Indigenous reserves, so that's it's limited. What's the word I'm looking for? Limited commercial stuff. So that kind of limits the amount of draw. It's really big for tourism, though. In the summer, really big. It's really, really beautiful. And then, yeah, we were living there for a while, and my parents wanted to move back out to the Maritimes, and something came up in PEI, so we made that move then. That was in 2016. It was the summer before grade 12 for me, so, yeah.
That'd be a big shift then, eh?
Yeah, all of us really struggled in Manitoulin. In my mind, I kind of call those the dark years because it was a little rough for all of us, individually as a family, and then obviously that affects us as a family unit. And myself personally, at that age, I was starting to look into university and stuff and what I wanted to do going forward, and I had already kind of made up my mind that I was going to go back out east to study here. I didn't really know where that would be. I just knew that I wanted to be back in the Maritimes. So I kind of was already I was already going to go out this way anyway, whether with my family or without my family. So it's nice that you'll be that much closer. And so, yeah, that's kind of where that.
How many kids are in your family?
So I'm the oldest, and then my sister, and then my brother. My sister, she currently lives in Fredericton, and my brother lives in PEI, close to my parents.
What do they do?
My sister is an admin assistant with Dillon Consulting in Fredericton. They're an engineering firm.
Okay.
Question mark.
Didn't.
It's one of those jobs where it's like, I know your title, but I don't really know what the rest of your company is all about. And then my brother, he currently works at Superstore in Montague, PEI.
Very cool. Very cool. So you came out here. You say a year before grade 12 in PEI.
Mm-hmm.
So what school did you end up going to after that? Like
after high school, yeah. So I went to Crandall University in Moncton. Really, I loved my experience there. It really shaped me into the person I am today. I came into university struggling a lot with my mental health. Grade 12 was a really bad year for me. I had already struggled with my mental health throughout, a significant portion of my life, but especially in high school. And then it got really bad in grade 12. I was really isolating myself. At that point, I was like, I don't really want to make friends because I know in a year I'm going to be going away to university. And I hated that whole making friends, moving, losing friends process. So I isolated myself, which is not good for your mental health. And then I was just generally struggling with a lot of things, like personally at that time, which was really, I wouldn't say affecting. It was affecting my faith in that, like, it was making me have questions, not questioning that God existed, but just questioning God, like, why is this happening? Like, why can't I get over this? So that was kind of those, I would say 3 years, like 2017 to maybe 2016 to 2019 were like really formative for my mental health and my faith. So, yeah.
When would that, your mental health kind of going down, when would that have started, like having some struggles with your mental health?
Yeah. So I had a lot of stuff going on, but I really started to be more aware of, like, mostly anxiety. Okay. And that was when we moved to Manitoulin, is when I really started being more aware of anxiety, and that's what I was feeling. I didn't have a name for it yet until I went to high school, because we moved to Manitoulin when I was in the middle of grade 7. So, like, by the time I was in grade 9, I had a word for it, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm experiencing. And my self-esteem was just absolutely horrible. I mean, it's still not the best, but, like, it's a lot better than it used to be. And yeah, so it was really bad. Just really struggling with depression as well. And a lot of self-hate, a lot of negative self-talk.
Where do you think that would have stemmed from? Just
absolutely
social media,
I think
everything.
I think it's just like societal standards, and then really feeling low in my in my counseling sessions, I differentiate between self-esteem and self-worth. Self-esteem is more of like a outer appearance, the way that you appear to other people, and self-worth is how you feel about yourself as a human being. And my self-worth was always relatively okay. Like, I knew that I had worth as a person, and I knew that God loved me, but it just didn't affect that, like, outward, how I felt about my outward appearance. And that led to a lot of, like, self-hate and issues with self-harm a bit too. And that's kind of where a lot of this, like I said, I'm a counselor now, and that's where a lot of this really started, was in grade 10. Yeah, grade 10 is kind of when things started going downhill, and then they started going uphill, and then they went downhill again. Like, it was kind of a whole roller coaster. So, yeah.
When that was happening, what was happening with, like, your parents and stuff? Did they know where your mental state was at that time? No,
they didn't. I was really trying to hide it and, again, like, isolate myself. I felt pretty ashamed of it. And just, like, generally in my family, it's not natural for us to talk about that kind of stuff. But one night, I don't know, typical teenage stuff, like, my mom wanted me to put the dishes away or wash the dishes or something. I don't know. But I was texting. This was also the age, I'm really disconnected from what, like, kids are up to these days. But I know when I was a teenager, I was getting into, like, the not online chat rooms, but just, like, online friends. So I have no idea who this person was. I literally cannot conceptualize anything about who this person is anymore. But we were talking about self-harm and the ways that we would do it to hide it from our family, friends, stuff like that. And I was telling her that I did it on my thighs. And then my mom was at the same time, like, trying to get me to do chores. And I started throwing a fit, as a teenager does. And my mom took my phone from me. It was open to that text messaging chat. And I immediately ran up to my bedroom and started crying because I was, like, so scared of her finding out, my parents finding out. Not that they wouldn't, I don't know, like, not that they wouldn't love me, but just that it was something that I knew I shouldn't have been doing. And I just wasn't sure about what their response would be. So ever since then, I got connected with a counselor for my first ever only one session with a Christian counselor. We had to drive 6 hours to Toronto, the GTA area, to see this counselor. And it was just one session. I don't remember how long it lasted. I mean, typically they're an hour, but it really... We talked about stuff that helped, talk about stuff that didn't help. I'm at a place now where, like, it really did help. But it started off this idea of, like, I really want to be a counselor. Like, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to be, like, another person that people can come to when they're struggling, especially for teens. And just kind of, like, add a number so that you don't have to drive 6 hours to see a counselor or, like, a Christian counselor specifically. So that kind of, like, that was 10 years ago, and that was just, like, my kicked off the career path that I was seeking. How
old would you have been then?
I would have been I would have been 15, 16 around that time, grade 10, I think. So yeah, after that, I started taking, I took one class in grade 11 that was, like, psychology, sociology, anthropology. And then from there, I was like, yeah, like, I'm really going to do stuff to make me more prepared to pursue psychology after school or after high school.
And so that brought you to Crandall.
For Crandall. So I did, at Crandall, I did a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a Bachelor of Theology. They have a double degree program where you can do 2 degrees in 4 years. And that's what I did. I didn't go in, signed up for theology. I'm pretty sure Dale Stairs, just like...
Classic Dale Stairs.
Yeah, classic Dale Stairs. We just had a conversation, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try this out. Like September, first week of school type thing. And it completely changed my life. It was like, I am so thankful for the theology program, for the people that I met, the experiences I had, for Dale Stairs. Like, there's just a lot that came out of that I'm very thankful for. And, like, just generally, it made me grow closer to God and learning about Him. So, yeah.
Was there some good friends you met during that time?
Yeah. So my 2 best friends are Franny and India. And yeah, we're still friends today. The longest friendships I've ever had, really.
Because you're bouncing around.
Yeah. So even though, like, I no longer live in Moncton and they're still in that area, we still really connected. I'm going to be seeing Franny this weekend to celebrate her birthday. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's really nice to have made those friends who kind of can really stick with you through everything, through the good and the bad and the ugly, really. Because especially with Franny, like, me and her are really, really close friends, and she's been there for me through a lot. Like I said, in university, the first 2 years, especially my second year, I really struggled with my mental health. Okay. And there were times in second year when I was pretty suicidal. I never attempted anything, and I am very thankful for that. But the thoughts were very, very strong. I would have to give her my medication because I couldn't trust myself. She slept in my room a few times because I just didn't want to be alone. Again, didn't trust myself. So, yeah, I'm really thankful for our friendship, and that even though she saw me through all that, and I wasn't a great friend sometimes because of my mental health. Like, it was rough at times, but she's kind of stuck through it all, and I'm really thankful for her. And then India as well. Like, she's a really good friend. She's been there again through it all and really supportive. And yeah.
Yeah. It's great having friends like that you can rely on and stuff.
Yeah.
Because those are pretty dark spots to be in.
They are.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it gives me a better appreciation for, like, now that I've completed my undergrad, got my master's under my belt, and I'm able to be providing counseling now, it gives me a better understanding for my clients who struggle with similar things. Because it's just that extra layer of empathy that you can provide really goes a long way with the therapeutic relationship and providing comfort and guidance to people who are also struggling.
That's right. So how long have you been a counselor for?
Oh, not very long. I just graduated in August last year, 2024. So, I mean, like, technically I've been counseling since this time last year. So it's been a year, but actually being licensed, I got my license in October 2024, and I've been counseling since then, providing Christian counseling and non-Christian counseling to non-Christians.
So how do you differentiate between those two?
Yeah, so it's pretty much Christian counseling is just regular counseling, but you add in like references to the Bible, or you explore biblical themes, or if you're struggling with a certain like biblical teaching, we'll talk about that kind of stuff. So it's pretty much like regular counseling. There's just a bit more, an extra layer to it. And it's same like, and I've worked with people of different spiritualities, and I pretty much like it's similar in the sense that I just incorporate whatever helps them feel better and have a sense of peace.
Okay, that's cool. And is there a lot of Christian counseling on the river, or like at Miramichi, or like?
Not much. Most of my clients, it's not Christian counseling. I mean, what I would really love to do is be able to provide counseling for Christians who are like really struggling with their faith, and like how that's especially when it's related to their personal life, so that we can really focus on like that counseling and that faith aspect, because I know how important it is to have somebody who is experienced in both theology, like biblical themes, and the psychology side of stuff, the counseling side. So that's like, I would love to be able to do more of that. Obviously, like, I love counseling anyway.
So like, how is the Christian counseling on the river?
I mean, I don't have that many Christian counseling clients, like specifically for Christian counseling. I probably have like 5 maybe clients that actually really it's just 2 anyway that like I would incorporate that kind of stuff into.
Okay.
So there's not that much, but I would definitely love to be offering more. It is like, that was kind of my driving force for getting into counseling, was to be able to provide Christian counseling to people who really need it, and kind of focusing on that, like, especially when you have that, like, both that mix of like the faith struggle, and then also struggling like with your mental health, or just like grieving something, that kind of loss, and how that affects your faith. Like, that's what I really want to be working on, like serving specifically, and people struggling with biblical themes and stuff like that. Like, that would be kind of like my passion would lie. I mean, generally with the whole counseling thing, like that's my passion, because I wouldn't have spent like 6-7 years and thousands of dollars on student loans if I didn't love it. But I would definitely love to provide more Christian focused counseling. Yeah.
We'll definitely keep you in mind in the future. Yeah. I know there's times where people come to me like, I don't know, but we gotta get you to a counselor. So that's great to keep in mind. What brought you to like the Point Church?
Well, specifically, before Miramichi, I was in Moncton. I was working at Crandall. I was working as a support worker, and then I was also completing my master's. So the master's portion, I needed to do a practicum for the last 2 semesters, and it's really hard to get a supervisor and a practicum placement, just generally. And then in New Brunswick, I reached out to like 30 plus places, and
oh wow, okay.
Pam McDonald was one of 2 that got back to me. So I chose to come here. It was closer to Moncton, which is kind of like the hub of where my life was at that point, or still kind of is. So I chose to come here, and I really loved it. I knew immediately, like, I knew immediately that I needed to get connected with a church. I was already looking at churches before I even moved here, and the Point was one that stood out to me from the very beginning. And then I immediately got connected, like, right away. I think my first Sunday I put on the communication card, like, looking for young adults, small group or something like that. And Mandisa texted me, and we got that set up and squared away. And now it's a year later, and I love the small group there, and we get along really well, and I love the conversations that we have. Yeah.
No, that's cool. I like it. Finding a church is such an important thing. We go to a new community and stuff, so that's cool. I love Mandisa and Jordan, what they're doing there, and because they're a great, great group of people. Where do you see yourself going like 5 years from now?
That's a great question.
Here we go.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of stuff up in the air right now with, like, my sister, her and her fiance might be moving to PEI. Like, I might want to be closer to them, or my friends, like Franny in India, where they're going to go, if I want to be closer to them. Am I just going to stay here because I like it here and I like the community connection that I've got here? This is where my practice is. So there's so much up in the air that I really don't know. I'm hoping to figure it out in the next couple of years. But, I mean, kind of like, actually, so there's a Bible verse that got me through a lot of my mental health struggles. It still does today. And still something that, like, I would lean on, especially with figuring out, like, what I want to do. Is the classic, like, don't be anxious about anything. So Philippians 4:6-7, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And that's something that I know that through prayer, and especially, like, when I was making that decision about to come to Miramichi or go to Florenceville, that was something that I was really praying over, like, where should I go? Where would be best for me? And often I don't really hear, like, an audible voice. It's more just I have this peace that surpasses all understanding, where it's like, yeah, this is a decision that I'm going to be making, and I just have a sense of peace about it. And I just kind of pray that will continue to happen as I go forward over the next, I don't know, 60 years of my life.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so good. I love the fact that relying on those verses are so powerful, right?
Yeah.
But listen, I just want to thank you so much for just coming today and just give us a little feedback, a little background on who you are. And, like, mental health issues are a thing that a lot of people go through.
Yeah.
Young, middle-aged, old, everything in between. But I think it's comforting knowing, like, having a faith can help you through all those things, and
definitely.
And having friends too, that kind of places in your life too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much more that I haven't talked about that it's just, there's some things that I don't want to share the entire world, but it's definitely, like, mental health and faith they're so intertwined for me, and really being able to acknowledge that, like, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for God, if it weren't for the people that He placed in my life. And if I didn't have that Christian upbringing, like, I wouldn't have known who God was or who Jesus was, and been able to have Him to help me through everything.
No, that's so good. So good, Emily. Well, listen, thank you for just reminding us that every name has a story and every story matters to God.